Disney banning books already? Holy smokes, this company can't go 5 seconds without being a complete disaster dumpster fire. Unbelievable. They're banning an Eisner Award winning series. Imagine that. What a trash company. This news really bothered me. It's a bit old already, but still I want to talk about it because this closely affects us Finnish people and my childhood as well. Let's talk about it. Hit it. Hello and welcome to World of Conan. Hello and hails to all you barbarians out there. Today we are talking about incredibly sad news. Disney going full Gestapo on us and banning books outright. And an Eisner Award winning book at that. Yes, we're talking about Scrooge McDuck and specifically The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck by Don Rosa, which is a very important work in the world of Donald Duck, Scrooge McDuck, the comic books, that is, because this book is the definitive book that tells the tale of Scrooge McDuck, his beginning as a kid all the way up to becoming rich, and the grand adventure of a lifetime that it is. And it's insane, guys. They have actually, 2 of the stories have been banned from the book, so that means it is not finished and therefore will be unavailable and not reprinted for the foreseeable future until maybe someday in the future someone gets brains again over there in the absolute dumpster fire of a company that Disney is. Anyways, the question, I'll show you. Here's my edition of it. Now scalpers are going crazy because of this, so they're selling it already for $200, 200 euros. It's insane. Thankfully I bought mine a long time ago. Show you a bit. So this is Don Rosa. Many consider Carl Barks to be the greatest Donald Duck artist, but for me personally, I think Don Rosa is the best. Maybe it has to do more with that I grew up with Don Rosa and not with Carl Barks that much, but I also like Don Rosa's style more. And why this hits, I know maybe not in the US, this is not Donald Duck comics don't sell a lot maybe in the US, but it's huge in Europe and in Scandinavia and especially Finland. In Finland, Donald Duck sells more comics than all of Scandinavia. Think of that. Our country. Donald Duck is basically a mascot. It's basically our country's mascot, unofficial mascot. We sell a lot. Like it used to be. I think it still is, but it always used to be. All the kids read Donald Duck. It's like a thing that helps us develop reading and all that stuff. Like it's just a basic thing that basically everyone does as their kid, and they still continue to when they're older, because I also read still like Donald Duck stories because they're lighthearted and fun, and it's just cool escapism, and I think they're great. Like, so there's a lot. Like, see here, these I mean, we have insane amount of these. You see this? And there's just more where that came from. More. Just more and more. Some Christmas ones. I mean, guys, it's huge over here, and Don Rosa is a celebrity in Finland. Like, he talks about Finland is his favorite country in that regard to come to, because people know him here and people request signatures from him. Anyway, as you can see here it says Don Rosa earned the Will Eisner Award for Best Serialized Story in 1995 for this work. Yeah. So let's read a little bit of article about this tragedy, complete misfire, dumpster fire. Man, Disney sucks. I should just go the way of the dodo bird. Let's go. Disney Uncle Scrooge, latest victim of cancel culture. Apparently Disney is willing to slaughter even the richest duck in the world for its woke image. In an email, the company clarifies to one of its most famous authors 2 of his stories may no longer appear. Yep, they're not being reprinted. This has been confirmed even by our Finnish those that print these books. I think it's it's called Sanoma company. They have also been informed that these will not be printed. So it's not may no longer. It is confirmed. Don Rosa is a legend in the Disney universe, specifically the comic universe. The comic author is considered a legitimate heir of Karl Barks. Indeed, Barks perfected the character of Donald Duck, gave his name Duckburg, that's the city where Donald Duck lives, and invented numerous characters, including Scrooge McDuck, that's awesome, who became one of the most popular comic characters, even beyond Disney. Don Rosa's merit lies in collecting, organizing, and historicizing the numerous stories about Uncle Scrooge, based on the main character of Charles Dickens' Christmas story. Yeah, he did a huge job, Don Rosa that is, in, he went, like, that's the awesome part, you read this, Life and Times, Scrooge McDuck, and there's these, oh yeah, I'll show you this because this is such a fantastic beginning panel. Just great of how he earned his first coin. Because that's one of the thing that is basically being that people are trying to steal all the time. But anyway, he goes through he explains in all these before every issue basically of a bit of the work. Obviously he can't explain everything in a couple of pages, but explains of the work that he did to compile, and like it says there, historicize of Karl Barks mentions in his story about Uncle Scrooge and like Uncle Scrooge's history. So he compiled all that stuff and made this insane great history of his life, and of course filled in the blanks, but still, like, this is an absolute classic, legendary work, specifically in the Donald Duck fan base universe, this is probably, like, I would say it's the biggest work. But maybe some would disagree, I don't know. With what though? I don't even know that. Still, anyway, let's read on. It's gonna be a long video, I'm ranting all over the place. While Barks look at the duck stories in the present, Don Rosa told the life story of Scrooge and how he went from a poor Scottish shoeshine boy to the richest duck in the world. Scrooge seeks gold in South Africa and the Klondike, befriends Theodore Roosevelt, and experiences the sinking of the Titanic. This opus magnum by Rosa in 12 volumes ran in 1990s under the title His Life, His Billions and received the Eisner Award in 1995. Yes, they have actually banned an Eisner Award winner. This is one of the most coveted prizes in the comic world. Indeed, a lot of people who should have won Eisner Awards have never won. Donald, this of all countries must now be strong because Rosa published on February 14th an email that the Walt Disney Company had sent in. The corporation decided that 2 of his stories would not be published in the future. As part of its ongoing commitment to diversity and inclusion, the Walt Disney Company is in the process of reviewing its story library. As a result, some stories that don't align with their values will no longer be published. This is true for 2 of your classic stories, which, by the way, Rosa does not get paid for. All I've heard, as he explained it, the contracts for these Donald Duck artists are complete crap. And who would have thunk it? Disney? Not paying well their artists? Being completely moronic and not doing well by the people? Oh, really? That's a total shock that they would screw over people. Imagine that. By name, Disney cites the stories The Unconscionable Businessman of Duckburg and The Dream of a Lifetime. They would no longer be a part of reprints or collections. So guys, get your collection now. If you want to read this story, get it now. Before the scalpers, they're already done this in my country. In the Finnish versions are basically now 200 euros, when before they were just 40 euros. I hate that people have to immediately just buy up every one of them and start selling them with insane prices. Maybe some people just want to have the story now, but it's gonna be hard and more difficult. This is a hard blow given Rosa's work as the unconscionable businessman of Duckburg is the penultimate chapter of his 12-part story. Imagine that. What value is there in a collection if one important element is missing? It's one of the most crucial story issues in the story. Such an idiotic thing. Unbelievable. It's like this like burning history, Fahrenheit and all that stuff, like censoring history, burning history, deeming something like, oh, we don't like this now with our current values, we don't like this. So what? It was made back then, and it's a part of the legacy, and it's part of history, and it's adored by millions of fans. It's loved by millions of fans, and you're just gonna chuck it in the fire? What a trash company. No respect, no regard for hard work and for beautiful work done. No regard. What an absolute trash company. Disney sucks. Insanely bad company. Oof. Unbelievable. It's no wonder Don Rosa quit. If you don't know, Don Rosa quit the whole industry because Disney refused to meet his demands of fair pay. Essentially, they paid Rosa once for his stories. Imagine that, once for his illustrations. So that means that when Disney reprints it 100 times, thousands of times, Don Rosa got payment just once. Disgusting. Users, abusers of people. Oh, and also these people that trying to be offended, and Disney, I mean, being so we're trying to be so trying not to offend and be so inclusive and blah blah blah. Yeah, and yet you still filmed beside a concentration camp in China and thanked all the guards there. Unbelievable virtue signaling crap. What value is there in a collection if one important element is missing? Indeed. No value. Rosa wonders if other Duckburg stories are also affected. Is it just his, or aren't they? Apparently all 12 chapters of my story are now banned because they can't be published without a finale. Yeah, without the finale. Finale? Rosa sums up. I don't want to comment on what that means for the collector market. Well, it means scalpers. Disney doesn't give us specific reasons. Oh no, we know what it is. But fans rightly speculate that the character of the black zombie character Bombay, who appears in both stories, may have been the deciding factor. Yeah, that's the only thing that is in both of the stories. The portrayal is said to be racist. Bombay, like Scrooge, is a creation of Barks, so speculation is gaining ground that his original story could be soon be cancelled as well. Here the woke cat bites its tail, for Bombay is invoked as Scrooge's evil conscience because he lets an African village burn to the ground. The pejoratively perceived figure is thus an indictment of Western colonialism and the exploitation of the continent. The zombie a constant threat to Scrooge, who flees from him as from his bad conscience. He is therefore the materialization of the curse of the evil deed. Of all things, the story that exposes Scrooge's dark side, and thus also the dark side of capitalism, is erased. Yeah, you think about that. Oh, you hypocrites. Thanks to left-wing priests of virtue. Monetarily, Disney's decision has little impact on Rosa. The comic author does not earn from the new edition, like I told you guys. The contracts are so bad, that's why he quit the whole industry. And fans also point out Duck comics are much more popular in Europe, indeed, especially in Italy, Germany and Scandinavia, than in the domestic US market. Yeah, I have no idea why they never sold well or why they didn't keep on being big in the US. I have no idea. Maybe all you guys can't relate to Donald Duck, but we can. Donald Duck is like I said, our mascot. Failing, but we don't give up, and we try, and we do succeed, because Donald does succeed as well. He never gives up. Rosa, who is perceived in Italy as an Italian American, has a loyal fan base there, so the volumes will remain available in our stores. Well, nope. Until the woke wave spills into the old world. Unfortunately, it doesn't look good. One should not feel too safe. The publisher Egmont EAFA has already rewritten comic panels in politically correct way in the past. Yeah, it's coming everywhere. Just fantastic, guys. Next, they're gonna try to censor, like we saw with the what was it? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They tried to cancel those, but people spoke up against it, so they have both the new editions and classic editions. But yeah, going back into history and erasing stuff is the dumbest stuff ever. Maybe I'm just gonna say, I mean, it is, so that maybe was not part of that last thing I said. I meant with the maybe someday in the future they're gonna come for Conan and all of Robert E. Howard's stories as well. Well, good luck with that, because it's public domain and everywhere. So I just wanted to show the comic book itself life and times of Scrooge McDuck, so you can see the fantastic art and also look at the controversial things in it, so to speak. And it all has to do with, you see, Scrooge, well, he becomes a bit too greedy, he gets ensnared in it, and goes to the dark side for a while, at least. And it happens after he's already become rich, but he goes to Africa, and he basically, here you see, well, one of the tribal leaders, looks like Donald Duck, and basically Scrooge swindles, or tries to swindle, the land from the tribe, which, you know, stuff like that happened in history, and I think it's done well in this comic book. You know, Donald Duck stories and all these Donald Duck comics, they sometimes they have things that maybe tackle a bit these kind of issues. They have in their own sense, but in like a fun sense. Still obviously serious stuff, but you know, they are Donald Duck stories. But this Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck is an actually, I would say, a serious story. So it's a much more, the story has much more weight to it. It's much more thought out, methodical, in a good way. I mean, but still has that lightheartedness and fun that Donald Duck stories are known for. So what I mean that it goes deeper in this. Here Scrooge goes to the, after this guy, he goes to the voodoo tribe, and this is where the controversial things basically start to come into play. Scrooge wants their land as well, and here you can see he's gone to the dark side. Even his own family are ashamed of him and not happy with him, and here, you know, his family saying, come on, you know, honesty is what you should be about. And Scrooge has gone, basically that's corny, and says it took him 20 years to strike it rich because I always played square, and I've decided to develop new methods. Yeah, lie, steal, cheat, swindle. So that's what he does. And he gets confronted by the voodoo tribe's leader, Fula Zula, and Scrooge shows absolutely no respect, which once again happened in history between different peoples. So he shows no respect for the leader here of this tribe. Scrooge tries to swindle him, and but this leader is up and up on the game. Basically, he has seen how many strangers try to steal their land, and probably others, and Scrooge gets angry because he just wants the easy money. So the leader of the voodoo tribe obviously resorts to his voodoo because that's his tribe, and that's his thing. And the Scrooge obviously doesn't believe in that, and he insults the tribal leader's gods, as you can see here, and that enrages the leader, who throws him out and makes him like a funny chicken. And of course, Scrooge, just like Donald later on, becomes very angry and can't let a thing go, even if they made the insult. So he goes and picks up people from a nearby village to come and basically run the tribe out and take their land by force. And once again, this goes back to what we read in that article about colonialism and all that stuff. So it is actually showing Scrooge in a very bad light. And he is not a hero in this instance at all. And I don't know if... Yeah. It's maybe not a class. I mean, so that's what I like this the whole series, this book series, this gives depth to Scrooge, because for many he's just thought about as greedy, but he's actually, in a lot of stories, actually very caring for his nephews and to Donald, even though he mistreats Donald quite a lot. But he also obviously loves Donald as well and takes care of him. And stuff like that. So there are different sides to Scrooge, and so he's not just some greedy. He's just basically a bit obsessed with money. But he does throw that away when his family is in need every time. So anyway, here he goes, and you see his family basically abandoning Scrooge to his misdeeds and leave him and tell him later on, you come back to the family when you have stopped with all this nonsense. And they race down the village and drive out the people, and like his family says, this is a dark day for the Clan McDuck. So it's not painted as, oh, this is some beautiful. No, this is actually, and before this even started, that this would be the start of a dark day in Clan McDuck's history. This would be a besmirched memory, a bad memory in the annals of Clan McDuck. So this is not something celebrated, and it actually shows the awfulness that people did to natives and to many tribal people. So I think there's nothing wrong in showing stuff like that. Story also, as we talked about, you can see like Donald Duck comics and all that, they are caricatures. So there's a lot of like, these are basically dog people, these are dog people, and then there's pig people, and there's stuff like that. So everything is made in that sense. But you can obviously see they're made just like the tribal people, made just like all the other peoples. That it's not made something worse or something like that. So once again, there shouldn't be, in my opinion at least, that there's no one read this and thought, racism. Until now, when people are completely driven mad by the ideology that stems from America, from their universities of idle thoughts. So here, Scrooge once again decides to swindle the tribal leader by dressing up in disguise. Once again tries to buy the land, basically cheat him out of the land under false pretenses. And that's what he does. And that's when comes to play the one character that's in both of the stories, Bombay the Zombie. So the voodoo tribe leader then says, you have incurred the wrath of the gods, and he will basically make this zombie haunt him for the rest of his life. But obviously Scrooge doesn't believe in all that stuff, but he's gonna see that maybe he should. And just a few moments afterwards, he is here once again. Scrooge is just being tormented of all these memories because he's turned away from being a decent guy and becoming all the things one shouldn't be. What have I done? I must catch up to my sisters and apologize. And here is where we are met with Bombay the Zombie, and this is basically a monster created by voodoo and meant to torment Scrooge McDuck for his evil deeds. So like the article said, it's actually very spot on, and it is what happens. It's not just something that was written to the article that didn't have any basis, but it actually has. On my guilty soul, I saw one of these years ago in Transvaal, a zombie. That is right, Scrooge McDuck. Bombay is the agent of my revenge. No matter where you hide, my voodoo magic will draw my zombie to you. So that is basically his guilty conscience for his evil deeds that he did. And he will be haunted by Bombay. And he will basically go after him wherever he goes. So there you can see a bit about the controversy, which in my opinion is not a controversy because people didn't read it like that, because people have been brought up as good people, decent people, for at least here in Scandinavia and other places. So there was no thinking like that when reading these stories, that racism or this is we're gonna be internalizing this or something like that. Complete nonsense. It is actually meant to be like a Frankenstein monster. But yeah, but otherwise, just wanted to also show, like, look at these. The art is just incredible. Don Rosa is really absolutely fantastic. Here you can see the Titanic. It's just incredible. Here you can see more of this incredible artwork by Don Rosa here. It's an incredible work of art, the whole life and times of Scrooge McDuck, and I definitely highly recommend everyone to read it. It is a seminal work, legendary work, an Eisner Award Winning work that is truly one of a kind in the Donald Duck universe, and is the most important work in that universe, I would say. So that's what they've decided to ban, this whole work that you can't get anymore. Leaving the story unfinished because you can't get certain issues, so that's why they won't reprint the whole story. So it is essentially destroyed, banned, broken, until sanity comes back maybe someday. But yeah, can't really count on that. I mean, look at this art. Whew. Incredible, beautiful, so good. But yeah, that's the art and story and all that stuff in context. Another guy who wrote the official soundtrack to this Eisner Award winning book series, The Adventure of a Lifetime, I think the CD was called. I have it. It's a fantastic CD. Is Tuomas Holopainen, the lead guy from Nightwish, our biggest band in Finland, Millionaires. And he, being a huge Disney fan, huge Donald Duck, Uncle Scrooge fan, and specifically that book, this book, Don Rosa, made this soundtrack for this book, and it's fantastic. One of the best soundtracks to a book ever made, I would say. Definitely check it out, guys. Like, if you check at least one song, The Last Sled, I mean, it is fantastic. the article is in Finnish, but I'll translate a bit for you. You can see like Nightwish Tuomas Holopainen is upset because of what Disney has done, and he says, "Yeah, this is wokeism." And he says, "This is wokeism and virtue signaling." And he says other parts in what stuff that Disney does that they don't call out in their own company. So it's all a bunch of hypocrite stuff. Here is Zombie the Bombay. Now when I read it this the first time, I didn't catch any. There's no racist vibes. I didn't catch any of that stuff. And the same says Tuomas Holopainen says the same thing, and obviously Don Rosa. That was never the idea. I mean, you have to understand that everyone in the Donald Duck comics are caricatures. Can I speak? Caricatures. You know what I'm trying to say. I mean, but look, there's pig people and all kinds of weird looking people, like they're all funny looking. And it's not meant in an offensive way. They're just it's just the way they're done. It's like funny looking. Because I mean, it's comic books about ducks, for crying out loud. Here are some more modern looking stuff like this. I mean, it's just funny looking stuff. Caricatures, I think is how you say. That's what it is. So, yeah, it's all a bunch of BS. Holopainen just says wokeism is what this is about. It's easy to virtue signal to the world about your own virtuousness by grabbing a hold of these kind of small idiotic stuff instead of grabbing a hold of actual problems. And he says, like the way they treat Disney employees. Well, yeah, like we said, Don Rosa, for example, and stuff like that. But yeah, you can see Tuomas Holopainen with Don Rosa here. And here's as you can see, he made a portrait of Tuomas Holopainen, and you can see he's not looking like a normal person. Why? Because he's looking like a dog. Because it's caricatures. I can say that word, but you guys know what I mean. So, I mean, yeah. Absolutely ridiculous crap stuff. Let's see if there was anything else. Here's the official Don Rosa group where the messages were given out. Once again, the panel from one of the stories. The other one is he shows up at the Titanic, I think. stuff like that. But yeah, it's a voodoo zombie. Imagine that. And voodoo does come from Africa, so that's the tradition. But anyway, so this this story really irked me. As you can see, I'm Donald Duck fan. A lot of Finnish people are. It's one of our national pastimes to read this. So, and that's the seminal work. This is the Lord of the Rings. This is the Lord of the Rings of the Donald Duck universe, basically. So they have banned it, and it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. I don't care what anybody else says. It's absolute trash. Not everything is racist and made with ill intent. Unbelievable. Like, there are different people from different continents, and you show different people. There can be creatures from different races, from different continents, and you show these creatures. They're not meant to be they're meant to be monsters, for example. But I guess you can't do that anymore either. Anyway, this video has been going on for an insanely long time. I'm gonna quit now because this is way too long. Let's see how I'm gonna edit. Anyway, see you guys on the next video. Comment down below, what do you guys think? I mean, probably to many of you, you don't read these things, so they don't really matter, but I had to do this because this is part of my childhood. I read Don Rosa as a kid growing up. I read these as a kid growing up. Donald Duck is a big part of our, like I said, of every Finnish kid's childhood. So this hits close to home, and this sucks beyond belief. And guys, go read the Life and Times of Uncle Scrooge, Scrooge McDuck, because it's a great story, and I think many of you guys would love it. So definitely go read it and check it out, and comment down below what you think of this censorship. You want everything censored? Wouldn't that be great? Anyway, Disney sucks, and Hell Conan.